until something extraordinary happens. Gratitude is about realizing that the ordinary is already extraordinary. Too often, we wake up and our mind immediately jumps to what is wrong, the work we don't want to do, the deadlines, the financial pressures, the relationship challenges, the problems of yesterday that are still unresolved today. But what if instead of rushing into stress, we paused and said to ourselves, "Thank you, God, for this breath, for this body, for this opportunity of a new day." That one moment of gratitude can shift the entire energy of your day. Think of a farmer. Every morning when he wakes up, he doesn't complain that the soil is the same as yesterday. He doesn't say, "Oh, I saw this sunrise before." Instead, he goes to his field with hope, because he knows that today's work has the potential to bring tomorrow's harvest. In the same way, gratitude is like sowing seeds in the soil of your heart every morning. When you start with thankfulness, you are sowing peace, contentment, and joy into your own soul. Without gratitude, even the most beautiful day feels empty. With gratitude, even the simplest day feels full. When you look around your room in the morning, you may notice things you often take for granted. The roof above your head that shelters you, the glass of water waiting for you, the clothes you can wear, the family you may see, the opportunities waiting in your life. These are not small things. There are millions of people who go to sleep not knowing if they will wake up, not knowing if there will be food for their children, not knowing if they will survive one more day. But you woke up, you opened your eyes, and the world is still waiting for you to live your story. Gratitude allows you to see abundance even where the world tells you there is lack. Now imagine beginning your day with complaints. Instead, you wake up and think, "I didn't sleep enough, my back hurts, I don't like my job, I wish my life was different." That kind of mindset is like putting on dirty glasses. The whole world looks dull and stained. But when you wake up with gratitude, it is like cleaning the lens of your vision. Suddenly, the same life looks brighter, more beautiful, and more full of possibilities. Gratitude doesn't change your circumstances immediately, but it changes the way you see them, and that makes all the difference. Let us take a simple example. Suppose you wake up and your first thought is, "I have to go to work again." Immediately, the heart feels heavy. But if you shift that thought into gratitude, "Thank you, God, that I have work to do, that I have a place where I can contribute, that I have the strength to earn, that I can provide for myself and my loved ones," suddenly the burden transforms into a blessing. Nothing outside changed, but everything inside did. This is the power of gratitude. It's also important to realize that gratitude is not limited to big things. It is the small things that actually give us the deepest strength. The smile of a loved one, the first sip of water after you wake up, the coolness of the morning breeze, the warmth of the blanket you are leaving. These are not trivial. They are silent blessings that God sprinkles in our daily life. We simply need to notice them. And the moment you notice them, your heart naturally bows down in humility, saying, "I am not the owner of these gifts, I am only the receiver." This awareness keeps your ego in check and fills you with humility. Psychologists today even confirm what saints and sages have been teaching for centuries, that gratitude rewires the brain. People who begin their day with thankfulness are happier, healthier, and more resilient to stress. Science now proves what spirituality has always said: when you recognize blessings, your heart opens, your body relaxes, and your mind becomes sharper. And the truth is, when you give thanks, you attract more reasons to give thanks. Gratitude is magnetic. A thankful heart becomes like a garden that keeps blooming, while an ungrateful heart becomes like barren land where nothing grows. In daily life, it is very easy to slip into comparison. You may look at someone else and say, they have more money, more beauty, more success, more opportunities. But gratitude dissolves comparison. It reminds you that you already have exactly what you need for this moment. If God wanted you to have something else right now, He would have given it to you. The fact that you have this particular life, this body, this family, this set of circumstances, means that this is your classroom for growth. When you accept it with gratitude, you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. So, as you begin your day, give yourself those first sacred minutes of gratitude. Don't just scroll through your phone or jump straight into your tasks. Sit silently, breathe deeply, and simply thank God for another sunrise. Whisper gratitude for the people you love, for the challenges that make you stronger, for the blessings you already hold. It may look like just a few moments, but those moments carry energy for the rest of your day. When gratitude fills your heart, even obstacles look like opportunities. Even delays feel like protection. Even struggles appear as hidden gifts. Gratitude is not about waiting for life to be perfect. Gratitude is about realizing that life already is a miracle. And when you begin your mornings with that realization, you step into the day not as a victim of circumstances, but as a child of God, supported, guided, and loved. That is the real fresh start every day is offering you. In just 20 minutes, with a thankful heart. Silence is not the absence of noise. Silence is the presence of God. When you take those first precious moments of your day to quiet your mind, you allow yourself to step into a sacred space where the world cannot disturb you. Every day, from the moment we wake up, our minds are bombarded, messages, notifications, tasks waiting to be done, worries from yesterday, and uncertainties about tomorrow. If you observe carefully, you'll see that the mind rarely rests. It keeps running like a restless child, jumping from one thought to another, never pausing, never listening. But within that endless chatter, there is a softer voice, a whisper from the divine, guiding us, comforting us, reminding us of our true self. That whisper can only be heard in silence. Think about a pond of water. If the surface is disturbed by constant ripples, you cannot see your reflection clearly. But when the pond becomes still, your reflection appears like a mirror. The same is true of the mind. When it is constantly restless, you cannot see the truth of who you are. But when it becomes calm, your soul reflects the presence of God within you. That is why silence is not empty, silence is full of answers. In daily life, we often confuse silence with loneliness or inactivity. People say, I can't sit quietly, it feels boring. But silence is not boring, it is nourishing. In silence, you are not doing nothing. You are doing the most important thing of all, reconnecting with your source. Just as your phone needs charging every day, your mind and heart also need charging. And that charging doesn't come from scrolling or talking. It comes from sitting still and turning inward. Imagine a musician tuning his instrument. If he plays without tuning, the music will sound distorted, no matter how talented he is. But if he takes a few moments in silence to align the strings, the same instrument produces harmony. In the same way, if we rush into the day without tuning our inner instrument, everything feels noisy and chaotic, even if we are capable. But if we begin with silence, everything we do flows with greater clarity, patience, and grace. Let's take an example from daily life. Suppose you wake up and the first thing you do is check your phone. Messages from work, Social media posts, news headlines, they all flood your mind within seconds. Without realizing it, you've already filled your inner space with other people's voices, opinions, and problems. Now, when will you hear your own? When will you hear God's? Contrast this with a person who wakes up and spends even 5 minutes in silence, sitting with closed eyes, focusing on the breath, or simply being present. That person walks into the day grounded, balanced, and connected. The outer circumstances may be the same, but the inner state is entirely different. Silence also teaches us humility. It reminds us that not everything needs a reaction. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every problem needs to be solved immediately. Sometimes, in silence, answers come without effort. A mother once told me that when she sits silently before her day begins, she feels more patient with her children. She doesn't get triggered as easily because she has already calmed the storm inside. Another businessman shared that silence before work helps him make clearer decisions because his mind is not cluttered with panic. These are not small things. These are life-changing shifts born from the simple practice of silence. You may wonder, how can I sit in silence when my life is so busy? But silence is not about escaping life. It is about preparing yourself for it. Even 10 minutes of stillness in the morning can be like spiritual armor that protects you through the battles of the day. It's not about the length, it's about the depth. One drop of pure water can quench thirst, one ray of sunlight can brighten darkness, and one moment of true silence can transform your entire outlook. It is in silence that you begin to realize that you are not your thoughts. Thoughts are like passing clouds. You are the sky that holds them. Most people get lost in their thoughts, chasing one after another, getting exhausted. But when you sit in silence, you step back and watch them pass, realizing that you are beyond them. And in that gap, that sacred space between thoughts, God's whisper is heard. Sometimes it comes as a feeling of peace, sometimes as a sudden clarity, sometimes as a gentle inner assurance that you are being guided. Great saints and sages from every tradition valued silence more than words. They knew that wisdom is not always spoken, sometimes it is felt. They taught that silence is prayer, silence is worship, silence is surrender. When you sit quietly, you are not alone. You are sitting with the divine presence that never leaves you. And when you step into your day after such silence, you carry a calmness that no traffic jam, no harsh word, no challenge can easily shake. Think of it this way, silence is like the roots of a tree. People only see the branches, leaves, and flowers, but they don't realize that the strength of the tree comes from the roots hidden beneath the soil. In the same way, people may see your actions, your words, your achievements, but the strength behind them comes from the silence you cultivate within. Without roots, the tree falls. Without silence, the mind crumbles. So tomorrow morning, before you pick up your phone, before you rush into your tasks, sit with yourself. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the noise settle. At first, the mind will resist. It will throw thoughts at you, pull you back to worries. But don't fight them. Just let them pass like clouds across the sky. And slowly, you will touch that stillness where God speaks not through words, but through presence. That presence will give you peace, strength, and direction. Silence is not an escape from life. It is the way to enter life more fully. It doesn't take hours, even in just 20 minutes. Silence can reset your heart and refresh your mind. Begin your day with it, and you will walk into the world not restless, not scattered, but centered, strong, and deeply connected with God. Your body is not just flesh, bones, and muscles. It is the sacred temple where your soul resides. We often forget this simple truth. We rush through life, feeding our mind with endless thoughts, feeding our ambitions with endless goals, but neglecting the very vehicle that carries us through this journey. Just as you would not allow dust and neglect to ruin a holy temple, in the same way, your body deserves respect, care, and nourishment. When you care for your body, you are not being selfish. You are honoring the gift that God has entrusted you with. Think for a moment, without this body, how would you experience life? How would you walk, talk, laugh, love, or serve others? How would you pray, meditate, or work towards your dreams? Everything you do flows through this physical form. Yet so many of us mistreat it by ignoring rest, by consuming food that harms more than it heals, by filling it with stress, or by treating it as a machine that never needs maintenance. But a body is not a machine, it is a living temple. And just as you wouldn't step into a temple with dirty shoes, we should not walk into our day without purifying and honoring this body. One of the most powerful ways to honor your body is to begin your day with simple nourishment. Imagine waking up and offering your body clean water, fresh fruits, or a deep breath of fresh morning air. This is not just food or air, this is energy for the temple. People often underestimate how even small choices, like choosing water over a sugary drink, or stretching instead of scrolling, or taking a short walk instead of sitting lazily, can completely shift the quality of their day. These actions are like offering flowers at the altar of your own temple. They may seem simple, but they invite grace into your life. Think of someone who wakes up and rushes straight into stress. Coffee in one hand, phone in the other, mind already drowning in deadlines. They feel drained by noon, irritated by evening, and by night they collapse into bed without joy. Contrast this with someone who wakes up, drinks a glass of water, does 10 minutes of breathing or stretching, and eats something light but nourishing. Their body feels alive, their mind feels sharper, their emotions are calmer. The difference is not luck, it is choice. When you honor the temple honors you back. Even spiritual practice is deeply connected to the state of your body. Have you noticed how difficult it is to meditate when you are physically restless? Or how hard it is to focus on prayer when you are tired, bloated, or unwell? The body and the soul are not separate. They work together. That is why so many traditions emphasize purity of food, discipline of lifestyle, and balance of habits. They knew that when the temple is cared for, the soul within shines brighter. Sometimes people think that taking care of the body means being obsessed with appearance or fitness trends. But true care is not vanity, it is reverence. Vanity says, I want to look better than others. Reverence says, I want to keep this temple clean because it belongs to God. When you eat with awareness, when you move with gratitude, when you rest with trust, you are not just serving yourself, you are serving the divine who gave you this body. Daily life gives us countless opportunities to practice this. For example, when you eat, don't just eat for taste. Eat with mindfulness, remembering that this food is energy from God, prepared by nature to sustain your life. Take time to chew, to savor, to appreciate. When you drink water, pause for a second and think, this is life flowing into me. When you walk, notice the miracle of your legs carrying you. These small shifts turn ordinary acts into spiritual offerings. Think of a car owned by someone careless. They never service it. They fuel it with the cheapest petrol. They drive recklessly. And then one day the car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. The owner gets frustrated and blames fate. But the truth is, The car only returned what was given to it. Our body works the same way. If we fill it with neglect, it will one day fail us when we need it most. But if we care for it, if we keep it nourished, it will carry us gracefully through the long journey of life. And nourishment is not only about food, it is also about movement and rest. Stretching the body in the morning, breathing deeply, walking under the sun, these are not luxuries, they are necessities. When the body moves, energy flows, and when energy flows, the mind becomes lighter. Similarly, when you allow your body to rest properly, you are not wasting time. You are repairing the temple so it can serve better tomorrow. A tired body creates a restless mind. A healthy body creates a peaceful mind. That is why honoring the body is also honoring your relationships, your work, and your purpose. When you are weak, tired, or sick, you cannot give your best to others. But when you are energized and alive, you naturally radiate positivity, patience, and strength. The people around you also feel the difference. By honoring your temple, you indirectly honor every soul you interact with. So as you begin your day, ask yourself, am I treating my body as a burden? Am I as a blessing? Am I rushing through life while ignoring the temple? Or am I pausing to bow down in gratitude to this sacred gift? Remember, the body is temporary, but it is the vessel through which eternal experiences are tasted. Every sip of water, every breath of air, every step you take is an opportunity to honor God through this temple. When you make the choice to nourish your body each morning, whether by food, breath, movement, or rest, you are not just preparing for the day, you are preparing for life itself. You are declaring to yourself and to God, I am grateful for this temple and I will honor it. And when you live with that reverence, your body will serve you faithfully, your mind will stay balanced, and your soul will feel free to shine. The mind is like a fertile field. Whatever seeds you plant in it will eventually grow and shape the garden of your life. If you plant seeds of negativity, fear, anger, or doubt, weeds will take over. But if you plant seeds of positivity, gratitude, and spiritual wisdom, you will harvest peace, joy, and clarity. Every morning, you stand at the entrance of this field, holding in your hand the choice of what seeds to sow. That is why feeding the mind with positive and spiritual thoughts at the beginning of the day is one of the most powerful practices you can embrace. The truth is, the mind never stops feeding. From the moment you wake up, it begins absorbing whatever you give it. If the first thing you consume is negative news, endless social media posts, or gossip, your mind becomes heavy, restless, and disturbed. It is like eating junk food for breakfast. You may feel full, but you don't feel nourished. On the other hand, if you give your mind uplifting thoughts, inspiring words, or wisdom that connects you with God, your whole day feels lighter and more meaningful. The food of the mind is just as important as the food of the body. Think about a person who wakes up and starts the day by reading something spiritual, maybe a verse, a reflection, or a short piece of wisdom. Throughout the day, that thought quietly guides their choices, their words, their reactions. Even when stress comes, they remember that morning nourishment, and it becomes like a shield protecting them. Now think about someone else who begins the day by scrolling through endless posts of comparison, negativity, or meaningless distraction. That energy lingers, and even small challenges feel overwhelming. Both people had the same 24 hours, but what they fed their mind with changed the quality of their entire day. You can see this truth everywhere. If a gardener waters weeds more than flowers, weeds will spread. If you give your mind complaints, worries, and gossip, your mind will grow restless and bitter. But if you water the flowers, gratitude, faith, patience, and kindness, your mind will bloom like a fragrant garden that spreads joy not only to you, but to everyone around you. The beauty of this practice is that you don't need hours. Even a few minutes in the morning spent feeding the mind with the right thoughts can shift your whole perspective. Imagine a person traveling on a long journey. If they start with a strong vehicle, enough fuel, and clear directions, the journey feels smooth. But if they begin with a weak, empty vehicle and no map, they get lost and frustrated quickly. The mind works the same way. Morning is the fuel station. If you fuel it with spiritual and positive energy, your journey through the day is stronger and clearer. But if you skip it, you may find yourself lost in frustration and drained before noon. There is also a deeper truth. What you feed your mind in the morning becomes your inner voice for the day. If you start with thoughts of faith, that voice will encourage you. If you start with gratitude, that voice will remind you of blessings. If you start with spiritual wisdom, that voice will guide you towards peace. But if you start with fear, stress, or complaints, that voice will constantly pull you down. This is why sages and saints across traditions emphasized morning reflections, prayers, or readings. They knew that the first words you place into your mind echo throughout the day like a mantra. Let's take a simple example from daily life. A student wakes up before an exam feeling anxious. One option is to fill the mind with thoughts like, "I'm not ready, I will fail, others are smarter than me." That will only increase fear and block memory. Another option is to feed the mind with positive thoughts. "I have prepared as best as I can, I trust my effort, I trust the divine, I will give my best calmly." Those words create confidence and clarity. The exam hasn't changed, but the student's mind has, and that makes all the difference. The same principle applies in relationships. If you wake up and fill your mind with frustration about your partner, your family, or your friends, every interaction feels tense. But if you wake up and remind yourself of the love, support, and lessons they bring, you interact with more patience and kindness. Your relationships grow because you fed your mind with positivity first. Spiritual thoughts are especially powerful because they connect the mind with something higher than itself. When you read about the greatness of God, the beauty of nature, or the purpose of life, your problems appear smaller. It's like climbing a mountain from the ground. Obstacles look huge, but from the top, they look tiny. Spiritual wisdom lifts your perspective so you can see beyond the immediate worries. It reminds you that you are not just a body or a role in society. You are an eternal soul connected with the divine. That realization gives unshakable strength. Even modern science now confirms what spirituality has always taught, that positive thoughts reshape the brain. People who practice gratitude, affirmations, or mindfulness in the morning activate parts of the brain that increase happiness and resilience. In other words, what saints said thousands of years ago is now being measured in laboratories. The mind becomes what you feed it. So ask yourself, what will you serve your mind every morning? Will you give it the stale leftovers of yesterday's problems? Will you fill it with the noise of the world, or will you offer it fresh, nourishing thoughts that uplift your soul? Remember, the choice is always yours. And the beauty is, you don't need external wealth to feed the mind positively. Gratitude is free, wisdom is free, silence is free, spiritual reflection is free. If you make this a habit, your mind will gradually transform. You will notice that instead of reacting with anger, you pause with patience. Instead of drowning in worry, you rise with faith. Instead of comparing yourself to others, you focus on your own growth. These are not miracles, they are the natural results of daily nourishment. Just as the body grows stronger with healthy food, the mind grows brighter with healthy thoughts. So tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you rush into the noise, take a few minutes to feed your mind with something uplifting. Read a page of wisdom, repeat a prayer, reflect on gratitude, or simply sit in silence with thoughts of God. These few minutes will set the tone for your entire day. When the mind is nourished with positivity and spirituality, life itself feels lighter, clearer, and more beautiful. Most people wake up and immediately rush into schedules, meetings at this time, chores to finish, bills to pay, deadlines to meet. Their life becomes a calendar and their mind becomes a ticking clock. But schedules alone do not give meaning, intentions do. A schedule tells you what to do, but an intention reminds you why you are doing it. Without intention, even the busiest day can feel empty. With intention, even the simplest act can feel sacred. This is why it is so important to begin your day by setting intentions, not just by checking schedules. Think of a person who wakes up and sees their to-do list. It is full meetings, tasks, errands. They drag themselves through it like a robot, ticking off boxes, but feeling drained by evening. Now imagine another person who wakes up and sets an intention. Today, I will be calm no matter what. Or, today, I will serve with love. Or, today, I will stay connected with God in every action. That person may have the same meetings and errands, but the energy is different. Their day is guided, not just filled. They don't just complete tasks, they live with purpose. An intention is like the steering wheel of a car. You can have a powerful engine, your schedule, your tasks, but without a steering wheel, you don't know where you're going. Many people end the day exhausted because they were driving without direction. But when you set intentions, you decide where you want your energy to flow. You are not just moving, you are moving with meaning. In daily life, this makes a profound difference. For example, two parents may both prepare breakfast for their children. One does it mechanically, while thinking of work emails, rushing to finish. The other does it with the intention of nourishing their children with love. Same task, but one feels like a burden and the other feels like a blessing. This is the power of intention. It transforms routine into devotion. Intentions also shape your inner state. Suppose you walk into work and your intention is simply to finish the day. That mindset will make every obstacle feel irritating. But if your intention is, I will give my best with integrity, then even challenges become opportunities to practice patience and strength. Intentions do not remove problems, but they change how you experience them. Spiritual wisdom teaches us that intention is more important than action itself. Actions may succeed or fail, but a pure intention never goes wasted. If your intention is to serve, to grow, to stay close to God, then even if results don't come immediately, the energy of your intention uplifts you and inspires others. On the other hand, if your intention is selfish or careless, then even outward success feels hollow. This is why saints and sages always reminded people to purify their intentions before starting any task. Take an example from a garden. If you plant a seed with the intention of growing food to feed others, that seed carries a blessing. If you plant the same seed with greed or pride, the fruit may still grow, but it won't nourish your heart. Life is like this. Every act is a seed. Intention decides what kind of fruit it will bear, not just in the world, but inside your own soul. In practical terms, setting an intention doesn't take much time. It can be as simple as pausing in the morning, closing your eyes, and asking yourself, how do I want to live this day? Not just, what do I have to do? But, what energy do I want to bring? This pause shifts everything. For example, you may set the intention, or today I will listen more than I speak. Or today I will look for blessings instead of problems. Or today I will act with patience. These small intentions guide your heart, even when the world tries to pull you in different directions. A story is often told of a man who was laying bricks. Someone asked him, "What are you doing?" He replied, "I'm laying bricks." Another man was asked the same question, and he said, "I'm building a temple." Both were performing the same task, but their intentions were different. One was working, the other was worshipping. This is exactly how intention works. It changes not what you do, but how you do it, and therefore how you feel while doing it. Modern life often glorifies business. People boast about packed schedules, endless commitments, and constant rushing. But business without intention is like running on a treadmill. You sweat, you struggle, but you remain in the same place. Intention is what moves you forward. It gives your actions depth. Without it, your day is just a blur of activities. With it, your day becomes a journey of meaning. Setting intentions also creates accountability within yourself. When you decide in the morning, "I will practice kindness today," your mind reminds you throughout the day. Even when irritation rises, that morning intention whispers back, "Remember your choice." It becomes like a compass, bringing you back to your higher self. This is why even a few moments of intentional reflection can prevent you from losing yourself in the chaos of the day. Sometimes people worry that they don't have enough time for big spiritual practices. But intention itself is a practice. You don't need hours, you need sincerity. Washing dishes with the intention of serving your family can become as spiritual as meditating. Working at your job with the intention of offering your skills to God can become as sacred as prayer. Intention turns the ordinary into extraordinary. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, don't just open your calendar, open your heart. Don't just ask, "What do I need to finish?" Ask, "Who do I want to be while I finish it?" Let your schedule serve your purpose, not the other way around. Decide to live with gratitude, patience, kindness, or devotion, and carry that intention into every action. At the end of the day, what will matter most is not how many tasks you completed, but how much meaning you infused into them. Intention is what leaves a fragrance long after the action is done. It is what turns a life of routine into a life of purpose. When you set intentions instead of just schedules, you stop merely surviving days and start living them fully, deeply, and beautifully. When you step out into nature, something inside you begins to shift. Think about it. How many times have you been lost in the rush of life, overwhelmed by endless responsibilities? And then suddenly you pause, maybe near a tree, a garden, or even the soft glow of the morning sun streaming through your window. In that very instant, your heart feels lighter, your mind feels quieter, and your soul feels connected to something greater than yourself. This is not an accident. This is the divine reminding us that nature is not outside of us. It is a part of us. Every tree, every drop of water, every bird's song is whispering God's presence to us, if only we take a moment to listen. When we connect with nature, we are not just refreshing our eyes with beauty, we are refreshing our soul with God's truth. Imagine standing barefoot on the grass in the morning. At first it feels cool, a little damp, and then slowly you feel your body grounding itself. The earth carries a stillness, a patience, and a quiet strength that we often forget in our busy lives. We run from task to task, carrying our stress like heavy bags on our shoulders. But when we stand on the earth, we remember that God has already designed balance. The seasons change without rushing. The flowers bloom without forcing. The rivers flow without resistance. If we truly observed nature, we would learn the art of surrender, of trusting the divine flow, of realizing that we don't need to fight every battle. Sometimes we just need to align ourselves with God's timing. Think of the sunrise. Every single day, no matter how dark the night was, the sun rises again. The sun doesn't skip a day. It doesn't say, yesterday was too cloudy, so today I won't rise. It fulfills its duty without excuse, without complaint. And what does the sunrise teach us? That no matter how many failures or struggles we face, we too can rise again. God has written resilience into nature, and when we witness it, it awakens that same resilience within us.